Welcome to the Near Patients Podcast. I'm the host, Henry Wilson, and it would be amazing if you would like and share this podcast. Also, please consider subscribing on YouTube or following on Spotify for more content. This episode is brought to you by eStudio 54. I hope you enjoy. Halsey Listo, how are you today?
Hi, I'm doing pretty good today. Good morning. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I'm a little tired. I forgot I was this cold this morning, and I'm currently wearing shorts when it is like 40 degrees outside.
Yeah,
so.
I know. I'm like wearing 2 times more layers than you are.
Yeah. Normally when it's cold outside and I forget to like actually put on like clothes when it's supposed to be cold outside, my justification is I'm only out there for a minute, but it's a pretty bad minute when you're out there. So
yeah, I used to think that, but then my grandma was just like, "No, you're not gonna like those couple minutes."
Yeah. Those couple minutes do suck. So how are you doing today, Halsey?
I feel pretty good. I just got a bunch of big assignments done, and I started the morning off with, I wanted to start the morning off with a hash brown, but McDonald's didn't have any, so.
Not McDonald's.
So I had to get a small fry.
You had to settle for less. Oh, no. So they sold French fries, but not hash browns in the morning? Or were they out of hash browns, so they made French fries for people?
They were out of hash browns. It was like barely 10:31, and I missed the breakfast cutoff.
Oh, that sucks. Yeah, my dad, when we were kids, sometimes we would sleep in like on a Saturday or a Sunday, and I'd ask him, "Can you make us breakfast, or can we have breakfast?" And I think he said this as a joke, but I took this to heart. And he says breakfast always ends at 10:30. And I didn't know about the McDonald's thing. So he would just always say that. I was like, so in my head, I always just thought breakfast ends at 10:30. Oh. But now it's like when all the restaurants are like, we don't serve breakfast anymore. To me, that's like, oh, that's completely reasonable because breakfast ends at 10:30. Yeah. So, so I'm really happy you're on the podcast today. You are a very interesting individual. I really like you being in class for IB biology and geography. So, and this week, oh crap, I should know this because this is literally like what the whole thing is. This week is Earth Week. Before the next podcast, let me actually look up the day. Not Earth Week, Earth Day. Maybe it is Earth Week. I'm not sure how they think about these things. We can make an
Earth Month.
It is Earth Month. Yes. Earth Day is 2021. Okay. It is the 22nd, right? 22nd? Okay, Wikipedia, please not.
Oh, yes, it is.
It's always 22nd. Okay, yeah. So it's Thursday of this week, and with Earth Day, I'm not sure if I have a personal connection to it, but I've always really been, other than my dad having an excuse for us to do the lawn on Earth Day, he would always be like, pick up the trash, mow the lawn, and now that I think about that, that's actually pretty funny. But I really like Earth Day because of, just the whole conservation thing. And I really like the environment and going out into it. So conservation's a big thing to me. So,
of course.
Yeah. So we're doing this for the Earth Day that is on Thursday. And also at our school this week, we have, I think, Friday's National Bulldog Day. So because it is National Bulldog Day, our school... it's their mascot, I guess, is a bulldog. So we're having a big festival that we get to celebrate the environment on our behalf. We get to celebrate the cultural diversity of our school. It's really set up by the language the language department of our school. So we get to really have a lot of really cool things. We also get the food out in our high school courtyard. We'll have some taco trucks and other food trucks representing the different cultures of our school. So. This is going to be a podcast primarily talking about the environment. I think I'm going to call this the Earth Day special.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Day special.
So, kind of getting into it, Halsey, I know you seem to be pretty active in the environment. You're on the SHS Green team as well as I. So how did you get initially inspired to, I'm not sure if conservationist is the word, but to really be involved with the environment or at least take notice of it around you?
Well, I probably didn't really understand the importance of climate change until around like sophomore year when I actually joined the green team, because I was always told that eventually the Marshall Islands are going to like eventually sink. As a Marshallese um, person living in the States, I was always told that like I have a bunch of family at home who are just, they're making a promise that they'll just sink with the islands, and that kind of hurts me. And so I kind of joined the green team to be like a little bit more educated and like try to find some ways to hopefully get the word out there to um, try and stop whatever's going on back in the islands and just like around the world and even locally.
Very cool. I know with me, when I really got into being aware about the environment and with climate change, it was just that um, that I was really, I'm a Boy Scout, and before then, I always would go out camping with my dad or my mom and just really experience the Ozarks, because it's just a really nice place to camp. You look over at the bluffs and a lot of these little streams that flow through the hills, and at least for me, like the mere concept of that going away, something that I found really crucial to, like, I guess you could say the metaphysical aspect of like what home is. That kind of like, I was like, oh, I don't want that to happen. I think this place is too beautiful. And with the Marshall Islands is, of course I don't know. I feel like I know more than the average person, even in Springdale, about the Marshall Islands, because I was fortunate in 8th and 9th grade to represent the Marshall Islands at the Model United Nations conference down in Conway. It sounds special. It's really not. Well, I mean, like it is special. It has like a special place in my heart. It's not really that impressive, but going into that, I would always sign up for the committees involving climate change, and as that, the Marshall Islands being most of the committees, they would be made up of the U.S., France, countries that really don't experience the major, immediate effects of climate change.
Mm-hmm.
And being the Marshall Islands, I had to do a lot of research, because a lot of people would ask, what's going on with the Marshall Islands? How does that really affect the populations? And I also had the pleasure to meet the general consulate up in that also resides in Springdale, and he gave a lot of really good information about the Marshall Islands and how climate change is affecting the population of the Marshall Islands. And frankly, the Marshall Islands, it's kind of just a sad story, at least from my perspective, about the whole thing. You have this really thriving civilization of fishermen and just really good community leaders. And then, I think it was in the 1800s, a lot of, I'm not sure if diplomats, missionaries. Mm-hmm. Missionaries from England, missionaries from other parts of Europe came along. That's when they got converted to Christianity. So you also have a really strong Christian presence on the island. And then they had some conflict in the First World War and also the Second World War that a lot of the inhabitants didn't die, but there's a lot of new military forces that got on there. And then eventually the United States signed a treaty of free associated states with the U.S., and then that's when they started doing the nuclear testing. And the way that I believe the general consulate mentioned was that they would persuade the islanders, saying, this is the will of God. We're doing this for the betterment of humanity. And so when they said that, they're like, okay, we need to do this. So that's kind of that little manipulation of, irradiating the most of the northern islands for fishing for even today, I think it's pretty sad. So,
yeah.
You are your family, if I'm not mistaken, is from the Marshall Islands.
Yes, we're all from the Marshall Islands.
That's cool. Were you born in the U.S. or were you born in the Marshall Islands?
I was born in the Marshall Islands. I was born in Ibai, Kwajalein Atoll, and I moved here when I was about less than a year old.
Wow. So, have you ever been back to the Marshall Islands since then?
No, actually, my family was planning before COVID and all that stuff happened. We were planning to go back during the summer before I would have went off to college. And so I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, they just recently reopened their airports, but I think my family's trying to play it safe and not go back.
Yeah. With the did your whole family move over at one time, or was it did your whole did your whole family move over at one time, or was it your parents and yourself, then maybe your grandparents or other relatives, or did they all move at one time?
Well, so my mom and her brothers came here for high schooling, And then eventually, me and my grandparents came up here to celebrate my uncle graduating this school. Actually, he came
That's
here.
cool.
Yeah, and so I was just raised here.
That's cool. With the so in Springdale, we're fortunate to have a really high Marshallese population, and if I'm not mistaken, that was originally, we're in geography, so you might know this term, chain migration. It's when one important figure or a group of people come to a specific place. Then over time, you have a chain of people that come from an island, from a place to that place, to the new migration place. And Springdale, I believe, is one of those places for the Marshallese, normally relating to jobs. So. With the Marshallese, do you feel like you're fortunate to have a strong Marshallese community here in Springdale than you would if you were to live in maybe any other place in the U.S., like except Portland?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like, you can even see it with the students here. There's, like, a very huge family aspect. Like, there's just this huge camaraderie that you see between the Marshallese students. Ever since, like, elementary up to high school, there's just, like, this huge circle, like, bond that they all share. And I think that's, like, very, I was going to say disheartening. That's not the right word. Enheartening?
Inspiring, maybe?
Yes.
Inspiring?
Probably.
One of those words, yeah. So that's really cool to hear. I know when I went to elementary school, I went to T.G. Smith up the road, and it was a really interesting, not experience because, I'm white, but I was, lower middle class, kind of white, and a lot of the people that I grew up around were Hispanics and Marshallese. So when I went to school there was a lot of Hispanics, a lot of Marshallese, a lot of white kids, and I thought it was a really cool combination and just see a lot of different communities come together, to kind of, obviously to go to school, but just to kind of get used to each other and kind of experience each other. I thought that was also a really cool thing.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, it's nice. I mean, personally, I'm going to have to be honest, I probably wasn't a part of that experience that they all share, of that camaraderie, because I actually went to George Elementary, and so there was like maybe 2 to 10 Marshallese kids in my grade, and even then, I mean, I was still pretty close with them, but I don't think I would have gotten that same experience as I would if I were to have, like, maybe gone to school to Parson Hills, because, like, in Parson Hills, there's, like, a bunch of Marshallese kids that go there. And I think maybe if I would have went there, I probably would have, like, maybe known everybody in my grade right now.
Yeah. For those listening, if you hear some screaming or some noise in the background, currently the teacher that's in the studio that we do our podcast is watching an American history thing, specifically on the Revolutionary War. And quick update on that: the Redcoats are currently raiding a arms supply. So yeah, that's fun. But going back to to the actual conversation, is there anything that your family says about climate change, or anything that kind of inspired you to maybe join the Green Team, or does anybody back home do they have any comments on the island sinking into the ocean?
Well, I wouldn't say my family has directly spoken to me about, like, climate change, or we haven't had really the conversation. But I would always just catch my family watching this speech over and over from, correct me if I'm wrong, former President Tony DeBrum. And in the speech, he just mentions how the atomic bomb testing did a lot of damage, even when they sort of displaced most of the Marshallese to, like, another, like, separate atoll from where they were testing, Bikini Atoll. And even then, there was just, like, a bunch of negative effects on the people. And so, yeah, I would always catch them watching that, or I'd watch them watching poems from Kathy Kitchener. Yeah, my pronunciation is really bad, but yeah, I would always watch her poems, and yeah, we just never really had that conversation in terms of, like, people at home. I haven't really spoken to anyone at home. All I've really gone to say was, or, like, hear was, "Oh, I used to watch you when you was a baby." So yeah, we haven't really had a conversation, but I think that's something I might talk about very soon. in terms of like what I've noticed myself, it wasn't until like recently when I was like rewatching a bunch of shows on Disney Plus that there was like a lot of Earth Day episodes, like special episodes, and that didn't really catch my attention until now. And so, yeah, I think I just need to make sure my eyes are wide open.
That reminds me, it's like a book I read earlier. For those who actually, I don't think it's been published. Earlier in the year, for IB Geography, we read a book called Eyes Wide Open, and I mean, I could talk about it, but I think we've kind of beat it. We pretty much talked about all we could on that other podcast, so we're just gonna kind of leave it there. So I think my final question about at least the Marshallese community and how they relate to climate change is, do you think a lot of the Marshallese community, a lot of the Marshallese population is going to stay in Northwest Arkansas after for the next while? Do you see or do you hear of any more people moving from the Marshall Islands back to the U.S.? I mean, back to the U.S. or I'm just kind of curious, and you probably have a better insight than I do.
I mean, to be honest, I probably have as much insight as you do because I have had some family members, or like secondhand, I've been told that most of them are really dead set on just staying and like sinking with the islands if like action never takes place to prevent the sinking. They're just promising to sink with the island, and I don't think my family personally is going to move back. I think we're all just like silently hoping and praying that it doesn't get to that point and that some saving can be done.
Yeah, I hope so as well. Just the whole Marshallese community in Springdale, at least when I talk to many of them, they seem very welcoming, very, very kind, and I don't want to see their homeland or that effect of their homeland being lost on them.
For sure.
So right now you're in your senior year.
Yes.
Well, almost done. What is it? You have a week left, right? What's the day that you guys leave?
I think April 30th.
April 30th. How's that going to be? How's that going to feel? Well, of course you'll have like more IB tests to do because IB's always there. No mean to remind you, my bad. But how does that feel? Just kind of knowing that you're about to leave high school, going into college, or?
I mean, I was talking about it with a friend earlier a couple weeks ago that it still kind of hasn't hit me that I'm a senior yet. I mean, it just felt like kindergarten, which is like a couple years ago. Like I can like vividly remember some memories from kindergarten, but yeah, I think I'm like slowly getting a grasp that I'm a senior and I'm about to graduate.
Do you know what college or different colleges that you're kind of looking at to go to?
So I applied to the U of A, and then the University of Arizona and University of Hawaii at Manoa. And so I haven't heard back from the U of A, which is weird.
That is a little weird. I know they accept people with like ACTs of like 18.
Yeah.
So,
and so
at least if they're in state.
I mean, I got a mail, but it didn't really give me a direct answer, so I kind of just brushed that aside. But then I got accepted into Arizona and Hawaii.
That's cool. I know with Arizona, I'm trying to remember. I think they're popular this year with a lot of high school students because they don't accept. Well, I mean, they do accept ACT, but it's like it's not required to get in. Like maybe if you want a full ride scholarship or maybe a big scholarship, then the ACT is important. But for just normal things, it's just getting in, it's not that important. So, I'm trying to think. Is there any field that you want to go into study, or do you just want to go to college for your first few years and kind of figure it out there?
I'm for sure going to major in mathematics, but I'm now considering switching my major over to statistics. I'm not sure.
Do you, what is it with math? Do you, have you like taken any calculus courses yet, or are you just you're just gonna see what happens, but you're really good at math?
Yeah, I think I really shot myself in the foot for not taking any math classes this senior year because I finished my math credits and I was like, I don't need a math class. And I regret that so much because I'm probably going to be the weakest link in the math department over there at Arizona.
Well, from what I hear, At least I'm in AP Calculus AB right now. Next year I'll take BC. The benefit of taking calculus in high school, and if you're listening, take calculus in high school if you can, is that you get a whole year to work on it. And like, for example, is that the curriculum we got, it's hard, yes, but we were able to finish it early March. So we've been maybe early to mid-March, right before spring break. And I think we had a week or two before spring break. So it's complicated at times, and you feel a little confused, but you have a legitimate 2 months or more than a month and a half to review. And that's also the same way with the second year they take AP Calculus BC. So, but the thing is that since you have that much time in college, you can do it in a semester. It's a little bit more rushed, and you might feel a little bit more, overwhelmed, maybe a little bit more overwhelmed.
Probably.
But like with most things, if you have a good relationship with your teacher, you're probably just going to be fine.
Oh, yeah, see, I'm very jealous of you right now. Like, throughout this entire year, all my friends have been saying, oh, this math class is so hard, or calculus is so hard, college class.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and then I'm just like, I wish I took your class. Like, I want to be in can I do your work? When I'm like packed up on like my own IB work.
Yeah. Oh, IB. I mean, I'm only in junior year. That means I got like 4 more IAs to do, 4 more tests. Well, actually, now I have 6 tests because I haven't done the 2 from this year yet. That's going to suck. Yeah. I mean, with IB I like it because you get to, but also, I like it, and I'm just going to leave it there because I don't really know what I like about it. But I have a feeling I like it one way or another. I mean, I'm still in it. But like on the other hand, oh my gosh, it's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
But hey, at least in theory, my first, maybe second year of college will feel less. I'm not sure how that works, but I know with Maggie being down at Hendrix, either she's taking it online. I mean, that girl does like nothing for her classes compared to what she did for IB. She'd be up late at night stressing about IB, being on Instagram, being like, oh my gosh, IB. But now it's like she just works, and sometimes she'll consider doing homework, and she gets it in on time.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah. So, what is IB? So I'm kind of curious. So for listeners and for, I guess, you, Halsey, so that I don't think I mentioned this podcast was originally to be an IB cast project. But with IB cast, although it is very annoying to do, I could fulfill most of my IB cast project by doing like 1, maybe 2 podcasts. And right now I think we're on 7. Sheesh. 7. Wow, that's a lot.
Congrats.
I know, right? Yeah, but what is it? The editing of this isn't too bad. Normally I kind of just edit it while I'm like doing it. I'm not sure how that says. So like with the noise being in the background, I'll just mute myself then you can't hear me.
Nice.
Wait, what am I talking about right now? See, I get sidetracked by that. But no, but I should be able to get most of IBcast done with this, which is good because it seems like for some reason. I'm on Reddit, and they have an IB Reddit page, and it's normally just students complaining and memeing about how IB is so hard. But the thing they always complain about is how hard CAS is. I'm like, it's literally just like community service.
Yeah. I would say probably CAS was the least overwhelming thing in the 2 years that I've been in IB.
I mean, you had like 2 years to do maybe a few experiences that you write a half a page reflection, and then you do a project that you write maybe a page or 2 on the reflection. I mean, it's not the most difficult thing in the world. At least it seems. I'm doing most of the grunt work now by doing these podcasts, but I haven't done my reflections yet. But I don't really care.
Yeah.
I mean, I got more time. I can worry about it later. Unlike the extended essay. Yes, I still do have like 8 months to do, but all the seniors this year are like, do your essay over the summer or you will regret it.
Yeah, I know. That's so obvious that you don't want to take that advice when they say, do it now, don't wait later. And you're just like, whatever. Like, I'm not like you. And then you get to it, and then you are like them.
I'm like, oh my gosh. So what did you start your extended essay over the summer?
I did not. I probably so we were supposed to start writing the essay in about I think March 2020. That was before the pandemic, right?
I mean, it's April 2020, and I haven't started whatsoever. I mean, I have a question, but I'm not even sure it's up to my supervisor's standards, so I'm still kind of fiddling with it.
Yeah, so we were supposed to start in March, but I didn't start writing it and planning it until November. Yeah.
So you didn't wait. So it was November until you started writing it, or so?
Yeah. It wasn't until like 7 months later.
Did you turn it in on time?
I think I turned it in at like the last minute. It was like down to the hour.
Really?
Yeah.
So that would have been like December. I'm trying to remember. What is it? Do you guys have it like? Is it due right before Christmas break?
Well, they want you to be done. Like, they want you to be completed with most of it before Christmas break. Yeah, Christmas break. But I turned it in. I turned it in around like March of this year.
Oh.
Yeah, they were really being lenient with me and a couple of other students.
With the pandemic, I mean, there's only so many. You kind of have to be lenient to an extent.
Kind of, yeah.
So I'm trying to think. I think we covered most. Oh, okay. I do have one more question about IB. What test or, well, we're done with all our eyes. What test are you most worried about for IB?
Wow. Test? Well, I got to remember what classes I have. Okay, so I have geography, English, Chinese, biology. I think I just repeated some. I think I'm most worried for Chinese and biology.
I can agree and see why you say biology.
Yeah.
With Chinese, so you're taking Chinese at Benicio, right? So your third year of Chinese?
Yes.
How difficult is Chinese? Because, the way I think is very much I guess you could say a Western European kind of, I can definitely understand English because it's my native language. I get the gist of Spanish and I can see how the other languages work. But when it comes to Chinese, I just know nothing about it other than ni hao. And I think that's just hi. And I probably butchered the pronunciation knowing me. So what is it like taking or learning about Chinese in high school?
Well, personally, I think it's very easy to comprehend, like the characters and like the tones. I think the hardest part for me was like speaking it and like getting the tones right, because like you can have one character and they have like 11 different like pronunciations or like tones, and so you have to be careful with that, or else you can like, there's ma, so that can either mean mom or that can either mean horse. So
Want to make sure you use that one carefully. That's what
yeah.
I can tell that one is a little bit of a, yeah. Mom on one hand, horse on the other. No.
Yeah. And so I think in terms of like how I'm going to test with IB, I just really wished I would have had more time to learn a bunch of characters, because I'm expected to write a whole I'm expected to write 100 characters in Chinese, and I'm not prepared for that.
Oh no.
Yeah.
And that's just for Abenise. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, we write, I think, 400 words for Spanish, but I mean, a fourth of them are literally articles like el and la. So, that must suck. Oh,
Yes.
I'm going to turn my... That was a little bit of a loud noise. I wanted to mute me real quick. So, an update. Right now, they're at the Battle of Bunker Hill. Yes. Oh, I've seen this one before. Yeah, they're at Bunker Hill right now, or...
That looks fun.
Yeah, all these cannons like firing on the positions. See all these farmers being like shot or something. That's not pleasant. Oh, it's gunboats. Is that a person flying in? Okay, I need to pay more attention. I'm sorry. This is it's pretty dramatized, but it's pretty good. Yeah, I think I've seen all of that before. I'm not sure why. I find myself, I know a lot of stuff about random things, because one time I'll just be on YouTube. I'm like, that's an interesting thumbnail. It's 45. Now I got 45 minutes. Click. So, yeah. And I think that's also probably one of my things with like geography, that I feel like I know a lot just because it's not that I like geography. Well, the teacher, yes, I do like geography. I just know a lot about it because I find different things that relate to geography interesting. And I guess that makes geography interesting.
Of course.
Of course, yes. Yeah, I think that's about it. About all I wanted to talk about. Is there anything you want to talk about? You want to talk about, or any question? I don't really know. I think we complained enough about IB.
Yeah, I think we did a good at complaining.
It was a healthy amount of ranting.
Yeah. Oh no, actually, no. I'm just kidding. There's this one. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's good. So Halsey, thank you for coming on to the podcast today.
Thank you for having me. I feel blessed to be here.
I feel blessed that you came and talked to me
Well,
because it was a little last minute asking you
Oh, no, that's
guys
okay.
yesterday. I mean,
shucks, you're making me blush red.
yeah, I will say you're probably one of the funniest people I know, and it's not like some people they like really try to like I guess like my brother's a good example. He'll like really try to be like funny, but with you it's just like you'll add something here and there that's just like perfect. So since I think that's the end, thank you, Halsey. Thank you for listening to the Near Patients podcast. If you did like this podcast, please consider liking and subscribing to this podcast on YouTube. If you are listening on Spotify, please download or whatever that helps us get more spread. I don't think there is anything, but follow us so you can get new updates on podcast. And what else? I think we just got on Pandora, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music. And I'm in the process of getting us on iTunes, but Apple is being Apple. So that being said, thank you for listening to the podcast. Thank you, Halsey, and we'll see you next Wednesday.